Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to Making the Case for Your Lawyer Dreams. I'm so excited to have you here today. Wherever you are in your journey, I'm sending nothing but prayers and positive vibes your way. Because although you may be encountering hardships, challenges, I want you guys to know that those challenges are not going to last always. Those challenges, those things that look like they're insurmountable, are going to be things that you're going to overcome. Are going to be testimonies that you're going to end up sharing with some other aspiring lawyer who wants to be a lawyer just like you want to be one right now. So, of course, I'm holding it down in St. Louis, Missouri. It's not the place where I want to be. Oh, God, no. But nevertheless, it's the place where God has me. I want to thank you guys for joining us for Making the Case. We have amazing guests, of course, coming on, Attorney Kym Porter. But, of course, we've had amazing guests for the past 80 episodes. So feel free to like, subscribe to our YouTube channel, BecomingJD, and check out our amazing guests that we have. Let us know where you're viewing our session from. Of course, I am holding it down in St. Louis, like I said. But tell me where you're viewing our session from, all right? Of course, we know we got Bam in the house. I see my girl Latoya in the house. I see we got Gerald in the house. This, of course, is for you guys to make sure that at the end of the day, you're going to come away fed with a clear message in regards to what you want to do with your life and how you're going to navigate your journey. We got Seattle, Washington in the house. Who else we got in the house? We got Chattanooga, Tennessee. All right, Tennessee, what's up? We got Arizona in the house. So nevertheless, one of the things I always tell you guys is I make a promise that I will not leave this chat, y'all, until I make sure that every question that you have is answered, because I want you guys to come away fed with a clear message. So don't just sit here and watch and consume. Make sure and engage. So fill my chat box up with questions, because we want to make sure that you guys got answers wherever you are in your journey. PreLaw, law student, recent grad. We want you guys to come away with clear answers. Latoya holding it down in North Carolina. What's up, sis? So, of course, I'm going to go ahead and cut off Kendrick because, man, I was vibing over here to it, you know. But nevertheless, let me cut it off. I want to again thank you guys for joining us tonight. We, of course, have amazing guests coming on. And I'm excited for you guys to be here as well. But I know right now, of course, we got people having their first days of law school. We got people who just recently finished up the LSAT. We got people, of course, who are in the process of starting the reapplication tour. And we want to make sure that you guys have a very clear message, all right? So, again, I'm excited to have you guys here. I'm going to go ahead, of course, send a message to our guest, Attorney Kym Porter. She is amazing, you guys. I call her a unicorn. And we're going to try to get her on. She's very excited, and she's also very passionate. Clear pathway towards success and manifesting your dreams. Because without further ado, what it do, Miss Kym?
Hey, how are you?
I am blessed beyond compare. Got me a little tan in H-Town, hit up the beach, help some
Okay.
students, and we back inside where it's cool and air conditioned. So what's up with you, sis?
Not a whole lot, honestly. I say that. I'm juggling everything. I got work. I got class starting this Saturday. I am kicking things off with my business, the Porter Solution. So things are kind of ramping up, getting busy here. So lots of things going on with us.
And I'm really happy that in spite of everything that you got going on, you found time to be with us. I
Of
always
course.
tell people that if you ain't busy, you ain't growing, because that means that there's always space for you to be able to evolve and grow. Now, of course, you know, we like fam because me and you would exchange DMs throughout the year, but I want, of course, want to give you a chance to give your formal introduction to the folks out there who are joining us for our show tonight.
Okay. All right. So, my name is Kimberly Porter. I am an associate attorney at a civil litigation firm here in Birmingham, Alabama. I'm a former prosecutor. I did that for about 4 years in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And I am the owner and founder of the Porter Solution. And I will tell you a little bit about the Porter Solution. We are a company that helps students get through law school. Not only get through law school, but bar prep as well. So we take you from your 1L year all the way through bar prep and make sure you do it successfully and that you have academic success. So
Y'all
that's a
got
little
all
bit about
that?
it.
So, there's 24 hours in a day, and sis is packing in every bit of it in regards to law, family, and we're loving every last bit of it. But of course, and also let's not forget, you're a professor. And I
I
think
am. That's what I was
that
saying. Class starts on this coming week, and so I'm getting ready for that. And yeah,
tell them what classes you teach, sis.
I teach evidence at Faulkner Law in Montgomery, Alabama, which is also the school I attended. So I am definitely glad to be home at Faulkner for sure.
And yo, we're gonna talk a little bit about Faulkner also on this session. For you guys, this is for you wherever you are in your journey. So we're gonna touch base on some pre-law and go back, throw back, go back in the time machine. And of course, we're also gonna touch base on regards to current law students and also, of course, people who are in the process of starting to prepare for the bar yet again, because it's an ongoing process. But nevertheless, I always like to start my show by asking this question, and that is off of Brown Sugar. When did you fall in love with law? Not hip hop, but law.
um, I will say probably at some point in my childhood. I've always wanted to be a lawyer. Since I was about 7 years old, I've always wanted to be a lawyer. Um, and I don't necessarily have the story, oh, it came from watching law shows growing up or anything like that. It just was something that was ingrained in me that this is a path for you to take. And the more I learned about that path, the more interested I became. And so that's kind of where it all started for me, was definitely during my childhood.
And that's the amazing thing for so many people out there, myself included, is those seeds were planted at such an early age. And then it becomes to continue to grow and evolve as we experience life, as we encounter challenges. And one of the things I always like to love, this is a random question out of left field. I swear for God, before you got licensed to practice, you've been practicing without a license, probably most of us our whole life as a form of advocacy. And so I
Yeah.
want you to tell me about the first time you advocated for someone that was like, oh, yeah, this is it. This is right. I'm gonna have to get a license so I can get paid for it later. But yeah, we made that happen.
Oh man. I will say this. It is, for me at least, much easier to advocate for others than to advocate for myself sometimes. And so that is something that I did start at an early age. I'm the oldest of four children, and so I advocated for my younger siblings quite often. One time in particular, I remember my younger sister that's right under me was being bullied by this kid. I wasn't gonna have that though.
Not on
Like,
my watch.
no, not at all. And he was just picking on her for no reason. And let's just say we came to an agreement that he would no longer do that.
Now, was that agreement with these hands, or was that
Well,
agreement with the threat of you getting these hands if you don't fall back?
allegedly.
She said, "I plead the fifth." But
That's exactly it.
but nevertheless, for you guys who just joined us, we're live in full effect with Attorney Kym Porter, who of course is the founder of the Porter Solutions. Make sure you check it out. Also, she's a professor, super mom, also a civil attorney, and also helping you guys take the next step in your journey. Did I miss anything in that, sis?
I don't think so, but I do have a question. I would love to know if there are any students who are starting their first year that are watching with us live. And I have a reason for asking. And so if there are any students who are starting their first year of law school that are watching us now, please drop that in the chat.
And what should we do for people who aren't watching live who may want to take advantage of the same opportunity?
Well, people who aren't watching live are free to DM me, but I want to bless a student that is watching live that took the time out of their schedule and is watching live and they're serious about their journey. And I want to bless them with an hour of tutoring. So if there are any students that are watching live, and this is at any point throughout the segment. So if you know someone who's starting, tag them, get them in the room because they need to be here.
What she said. What she said. Latoya, holler at some of your folks in the group and see if, in fact, they'd be able to take advantage of this amazing opportunity. Now, of course, back to you, sis. Now, oftentimes on this journey, it's full of ups and downs. I swear for God, there's more downs than there are ups. But what
Yeah.
would you say entering into the space was the biggest challenge that you had to adjust to when you pulled up the Faulkner Law?
Oh my goodness. I would probably say, and I'm sure I'm not alone in this. In fact, now that I've gotten through to the other side, I know I'm not alone in this. Imposter syndrome, that hit me hard pulling up to Faulkner Law, looking around, seeing all of these really smart kids. And I was a little bit older than them, so they're young and smart. And I'm like, what is going on? And then I had my baby with me, so they're young, smart, single, no kids, can devote all of their time to law school. Imposter syndrome hit me hard. Definitely.
And what was some of the things? Let's go ahead and define imposter syndrome. What is it? Because I think it's
So,
a term a lot of people hear but don't really know what it means.
so what it is when you are in a space and you feel as though you're not really supposed to be there, as if you have put on clothes that are a little too big and you are pretending like you belong somewhere that you don't actually belong. That's the feeling that you get from imposter syndrome.
And I know oftentimes it's something that we oftentimes face. But one of the things oftentimes have to remind people is remember, law schools don't do charity cases, yo. They ain't
Right.
about to invest in you and give you no seat because they need you to be successful for the sake of them. And so King 69 said he's currently going through imposter syndrome right now. So Kym, what are some of the things that you did to try to navigate that and be able to overcome it?
I have a saying, and it's something that I think bears repeating. You belong anywhere your mind can take you.
That
If
part.
your mind was able to get you into law school, you belong there. And that's just something that you have to remind yourself of. There are also other avenues that some people take. Some people remind themselves that they're not the only ones feeling that way and they're not alone in that process. And those things are true. But I think it's much better to build yourself up and realize who you are, whose you are, and where you're going. And that is what got me through.
And I think the thing, what's so unique about law school and the challenge that it brings is because oftentimes you're waiting for that validation that's only going to come in the form of your final grades. And so that means going with practically half a year to be able to be like, oh, okay, I am good enough. When really the whole point of the matter is that you were good enough the whole time. And I think
Right.
that's something that people, wherever they are in their journey, either one dealing with the LSAT, either one, of course, dealing with law school, or either two, people currently dealing with that situation when it comes to the bar exam. But nevertheless, sisters gave you guys the tea here in regards to how to overcome imposter syndrome. And I think also one of the things that I feel the biggest challenge that so many of us experience, and sis, let me know if I'm wrong, it's because law school, the LSAT, the bar, these are the first times in a lot of people's lives when they had to ask for help. We
Yes.
come in chilling through college, through high school, through elementary. We were always the big dog with the big
Right.
grades. And picked up some bad habits along the way, and then law school requires you to have to make changes. What do you think? Am I right about that?
Absolutely. You are spot on with that. Um, Most people that are attending law school were the smart kid in their class. They didn't have to really put forth much effort in studying. They attended class and they got A's, and it wasn't really a problem. And so, law school, and like you said, the LSAT, preparing to enter law school, and then the bar, all of those times are some of the first times that you've had to actually figure out what studying is, how to study, what that looks like, and what that means for you. And so, yeah, for sure, I would agree with that.
But nevertheless, this is all a journey where we have to be able to learn about ourselves. And I feel like literally this whole journey. I think the initial part is us having to be humbled.
Yeah,
we have to
yeah,
take humble pie. And because let's be honest, the ego was egoing for a large percentage of the time, and it was able to get us by. But what was that moment in law school where you were like, oh damn, it's just got real. And I know that life is life, and I got a family. I have all these excuses in my head lined up of why it can't happen, and giving myself a pass. But then you realize, well, damn, I still got to boss up. What was that boss up moment like for you?
So, the very first moment I realized that this was going to be different than anything I've ever done in my life had to have been actually an orientation, because I'm gonna tell you something that I don't say often, but I walked into law school not knowing anything about law school. The way that students prepare to go to law school now, I did none of that. The way that students are meticulous about their applications, LSAT, doing research as to what law school is like, all of that, I did none of that. So I was walking in blind for real. And so when I got there and they started talking about this curve and how essentially mathematically some student had to fail, I'm like, oh my God, what do you mean? What do you mean my grade is dependent upon how well I do in comparison to the next person? What if I just know the stuff? Like that's not good enough? What do you mean? And so that had me freaked all the way out. And then going to class and realizing I've got to figure out what it is these professors are looking for. I've got to figure out how to answer the questions they're asking me during these cold calls. It was moment after moment for me of just being freaked out and like, oh my God, I can't believe this. I just can't even, how am I going to do this? And then I look at my baby's face and I'm like,
That
girl,
part.
you better figure it out.
I tell you one thing, and this is for all my parents out there, you guys who are considering going to law school. Sometimes these babies are the biggest motivation you will ever need. When you
Yes.
get tired and realize that these sacrifices and this decision to go to law school impacts them, you move different. You find yourself in extra gear. Sis, I remember when I was in law school, man, I was afraid of failure because
Hmm.
I knew that I had kids and I wanted to make sure that I could provide for them. Since I was so scared to go to sleep, sometimes I would literally sit in my car because I knew my car was too uncomfortable for me to go to sleep so I could study for finals. But
Yeah.
sometimes in the process, I think getting used to being uncomfortable is probably one of the things that you have to be able to accept in this journey. But I want to ask you also, so we talked about law school. I love, and I think we talked about this before, and I even think I shared it in my stories a while back. I want you to share that moment when you passed the bar and what that experience was like, because I think that manifestation of all the hard work, all the sacrifice coming in that email or in that little document looking for your name.
Yeah. Yeah. That moment, that was a surreal moment for me. I'm not gonna lie. I so I had it all planned out. I knew the day that the results were supposed to come out, and they were supposed to come by email. And I didn't want to just sit at home and open the email myself. So I drove to my mom's job with my baby with me, and we sat outside my mom's job and waited for my mom to come out. My mom came outside, took a break on her job so she could come and she could be the one to open the email.
Oh,
And she finally read the email out loud to me. Like, she read it to herself at first and she just looked at me and I'm like, oh my God, what? Please just tell me. It was the most suspenseful moment. And then she finally read it out loud. And it was like I took a breath for the first time. Like, it was almost as if I had been holding my breath for 3 years. I literally like took a breath and it was a breath of fresh air. And it was like the deepest breath I had taken in years. It was like I could breathe again. It was amazing. I cannot discount that feeling at all.
and I think the beautiful thing about it, for you guys who just joined us, we're live in full effect with Attorney Kym Porter, founder of the Porter Solutions. Y'all better go follow her. Y'all better go utilize these resources, y'all. We want to see y'all win. And I think the thing that's just so amazing is it's like when you guys share the story, it's just like that relief. Like, I'm done with that part.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I know for you guys out there, wherever you are, these are just stages of growth. First, of course, it's the LSAT. Then it's the acceptances. Then it's the first time you get your grades in law school. Then it's the NPRE. Then it's finals. But now, after, and then it's the bar. But then after the bar, it's like, okay, now what? So
Yeah.
tell us this, what happened? Because I've had some of my friends, they passed the bar and they're like, damn, okay, now what I'm supposed to do?
Right.
What do I do? I gotta find a job?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, how am I supposed to find a job? And I graduated in the middle of COVID, in the middle of the pandemic. I took the bar, passed it in 2020. So like stuff is still shut down. And I'm like, all right, how am I supposed to do this? And I'm putting in application after application. I even had some interviews. They were virtual. It was the worst experience I have ever had. Like, I hate a virtual interview because it's hard to get that human connection over Zoom. And I'm like, oh, this is not good. And I just kept praying and kept applying. And it was just a God thing, honestly, how I got my first job. Um, it was My resume was passed along to the DA by a friend of my family. And he took a look at my resume and called me for an interview. And let me just tell you, that interview, the roughest interview I've ever had in my life. And I actually worked before law school. I did things before law school. And that was the roughest interview in my life. Like, it was rough. And so that feeling of what next, what now, how do I navigate that? That is a real feeling. And honestly, networking is huge. That is a huge factor in how you navigate the workspace, the entering the job force, what have you. That is a huge, huge thing. Networking, making sure you're building your resume as you go along so that you don't graduate and then finally you trying to figure out, okay, well, how can I make myself look marketable? What can I do? That kind of thing. Like, that is that's a big part of it. So networking, building your resume along the way, those are two top things that I would definitely say. And then third, making sure your resume is formatted in a way that actually showcases your strengths. Don't just go with a cookie cutter resume that you found online and you just plugged your information in. Have someone review your resume. Have someone look over it and help you to format it in a way that showcases your strength. And so those are the important things that I would say as far as trying to figure out what next. How do I get into an actual job? How do I navigate this space?
And I think the thing about it also is learning that in this space, you have to step out of your comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
They own, like,
Mm-hmm.
talked about how she secured her job. It was through networking and relationships. What would you say? Because, see, I ain't got no problem talking to nobody. I'm from the South. I'm a country boy at heart. You know how we get down in the South because you're a Southern gal too. But
Right.
what would you say to people who are introverts, who are shy, who are reluctant to step out of their own little bubble about networking and how to go about doing it?
I would say do it little by little and make sure you plan it out. The more you plan, the better you'll feel because you'll feel like you have more control of the situation. And what I mean by that is, let's say you decide, okay, I know I'm looking for a job. What do I do now? Send out some cold emails. Google is your best friend and will find you plenty of law firms for you to send an email with your resume attached, and then once you actually email them asking for time for you to set up a coffee chat just to pick their brain. If you're not actually ready for the job market yet, but you know you need to begin networking, those are good ideas. And before you actually go and meet with these people, sit down and think, okay, what questions can I ask that will give me the most information, the most helpful information for me and my situation, rather than going in it thinking, oh, I'll figure it out when I get there, or thinking that they're going to ask you questions. No, be prepared to ask them questions as you've asked for their time. Be prepared to ask them questions and write those questions out and make sure that you're able to get the answers that you need that will actually help you along in your journey. That's what I would say for someone who is introverted or shy. Obviously, you've got to step out of your comfort zone, but you can still have a measure of comfort if you are prepared and if you have planned well.
And I remember never forget someone told me they said scared lawyers or scared future lawyers don't get opportunities. And I was like, dang, like, but what we mean by that, you guys, is it's too many people out there. And if you want to be noticed, if you want to stand out, it's on you to present those opportunities. And it's something that can be done very easily. And there's so much value in stepping out of your comfort zone. That's how you get great letters of recommendations for law school. That's how you get great referrals when you're in law school from professors. And I swear for God, I mean, I love career services at my law school, but if it wasn't for my relationship with my torts professor, I don't know that's how I got my first clerkship. And so opening your mouth and getting a chance to step out of your comfort zone could have amazing rewards. So one thing I love asking about, so we licensed now, right?
Right?
Tell me about your first case. What was that experience like? Because I've heard some people have experience where it's just like they just thrown into the deep end and don't drown.
Oh my gosh, I'm laughing because that's exactly how it was. First jury trial I ever saw from start to finish was the one I was trying, and it was a murder trial. Very first. Like, I had never even seen a trial. I had done mock trial in school. I had traveled and did competitions, that kind of thing. Um, and I had been practicing for a little bit. And first trial I ever did was the only trial that I had ever seen from start to finish. So a lot of it, I literally did not know what happens next. And so I was very dependent on my co-counsel, the judge, to take pity on me and realize that I had no idea what I was doing. And they let me do my thing. And it worked out. It went very well. We got a guilty. Um, but it was definitely a thrown to the wolves type deal, and the case was a throwaway case in their minds, at least. This case was a case that had previously mistried when our chief ADA had tried it. And so essentially, my supervisor had tried the case, the jury hung, we were retrying it again, and my supervisor was nowhere to be found. It was me and another girl that was looked upon as not being a trial lawyer, and they just were like, y'all try it, and they just threw us on out there. And it was definitely one of those things where it was a scary experience, but it was a ton of fun. And I just happen to be one of those people that loves trial. I love trying cases. And so that's why it was so fun to me. As far as getting to make arguments, getting to cross-examine witnesses, making sure I'm getting evidence in, all of the things, all of that stuff was exciting to me. And
So I
so
know your supervisor should have just been sitting there taking notes because you out here on your first trial closing cases down and getting guilty. Okay.
you said it, I didn't.
The amazing thing is, it's like, did it hit you where you're like, wow, this is real? Like,
It's
this is
like, oh my God, I'm doing this. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
how did,
Yeah.
in regards to preparing your closing argument, how did that go?
So, closing argument is probably my favorite part of a trial to do. Um, and I always write mine out and then memorize it. And so, that's what I did. I looked at the facts of the case, the charge was murder, and I went through and made sure that I had adequately explained how we had actually proved murder and weaving in the facts, weaving in the evidence that had come into trial, come in throughout the trial, rather. I made a compelling argument and they found in our favor.
That's awesome. That is awesome. And I've spoken to one judge who talked about how when you work as a judge, she has to move different. Like she can't go to public events. She told us a story about how she went to Blockbuster and realized that somebody was following her and had to get security. I wonder, like for you, of course, you no longer work there anymore. But how did you have to move different? Because let's keep it a buck, sis. Beham ain't a big place.
And at that time, I was even in an even smaller place. I was in Tuscaloosa, and literally, I did have to move differently. Um, I'm not from there. I'm originally from Mobile. So when I'm out, I'm my head on a swivel. I'm paying attention to my surroundings. I am watching who's watching me because nobody should be watching me because nobody knows me here because I'm not from here. And so if somebody watching me a little too hard, I'm trying to figure out, okay, do I know you? What the problem is? Like I I had to I had to be on guard all the time. And I can definitely say that there were a couple of incidents where I had minor scares,
Right.
but because I was an ADA, I had lots of law enforcement friends, and I was able to um, get them on speed dial, like, hey, this ain't right. This is not okay. I need you to do
Pull
something.
up. She said, pull up.
Yes,
But I think
yes.
that's amazing is once the cat gets out of the bag that you're a lawyer, especially after trial. I've had friends that talk about how they just have random people coming up to them, asking them questions. Tell us a story about like the most randomest situation. I mean, because I swear, man, I see some of my friends, they be like, man, when I finish, I got to go to my car because otherwise I'm about to get stopped by this one, that one, and everyone else in the middle.
Yeah, yeah. That's normally how it goes. I think the most random is probably just when I was in court for just a regular court appearance rather than trial. A lot of times when you go to the courthouse, some of everybody is there.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
they look at you and they look at your dress and they go, "Oh, you must be a lawyer." And I go, "Yeah, I'm a lawyer." "Oh, let me tell you about this case I got. I need to know about what the law say." Whoa, 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 whoa. I'm a lawyer. I'm not your lawyer. There is a difference. We're gonna need to slow this on down.
Hold on, hold on.
But
And again, you said I'm a what? I'm
I'm
a.
a lawyer. I'm not your lawyer. There's a difference. There's a difference.
And so,
So
what I think the thing that's amazing because almost to a degree, you not only become the lawyer for your clients, you become the lawyer for your family, for your community, and it just how did you go about for yourself being able to set those healthy boundaries?
Um, that was a very hard thing for me because it is in my nature to want to help people.
Yeah.
That's kind of how the reason why I started the Porter Solution. I just want to help people out. I want to give people things that I didn't have and make sure that they are supported in ways that I haven't been supported. And so growing up, I didn't know lawyers. I didn't have anyone that I could call if I had a legal question or anything like that. And so obviously now that I'm a lawyer, I have family members, friends, acquaintances, Facebook friends, all kinds of people that reach out to me because they don't know any lawyers. And I feel like within our community, access to legal advice, legal help is very scarce.
That's true.
It's just not enough of us. It's not enough representation. And so I find it hard to turn people away. And so what I do instead is I refer them out. I got friends in some of every area of law, of the practice of law that there is. And so if you have a particular legal trouble, tell me what it is. I'm able to tell you what area of law you need to secure a lawyer in, and I can refer you out to somebody that actually does that. And no matter what it is, I tell them I don't do that type of law. Here's someone who does.
AKA, listen, man. If you willing to pay this invoice, holla at your girl. But
Right,
free advice. I'm sorry, you caught me too soon. But
right.
I think you really harped on something, right? Underrepresentation in the legal field is massive. And because of it, it does create a very close community when it comes to black and brown lawyers. It's almost like its own type of fraternity or sorority that wants to see other aspiring lawyers win and do well because we know about the pitfalls and the challenges, which is why you created Porter Solutions. Now, what are some of the pitfalls and challenges that you experienced in law school that you now help people with Porter Solutions try to avoid?
Like I mentioned earlier, I started law school without knowing fully the academic requirements. And so I literally did not know how to do law school. I didn't know how to study. I didn't know how to study at all because I never had to study. I didn't know how to read cases and brief them. I didn't know what I was supposed to be looking for in these cases. And so I just relied on reading comprehension and hoped it got me there. That was literally it. And so being able to now give back to the next generation of future lawyers and help them through academically, that is something that I'm passionate about. I want to make sure that students coming in have someone they can lean on, someone they can ask questions of, someone that is going to warn them about the things that they're going to encounter and walk alongside them as they're encountering the hard things. And so that was my main goal in starting the Porter Solution.
Now, of course, we know we have a lot of 1Ls about to start orientation. I think I posted in the story. Texas Southern just had their orientation today, I think. But nevertheless, oftentimes in law school, the biggest mistake is we wait too long to ask for help.
Mm.
Because if you wait till after the first semester, Shawnee, you late. You late.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with people who are starting law school this semester or this year, what is some advice that you would give them besides the general question I say is ask for help? What are some things that they need to do?
So the very first thing I want to say is you said if you wait until after the first semester, you're late. I would say if you wait until November of your first semester, you're late. Because
Yeah,
at that point, it's time to start
fine.
studying for finals, and either you got it or you don't, baby. It's not going to just come overnight. It is not one of those things.
You mean you can't
Um,
overnight and do that and save yourself?
I wish I could. You know how many nights I slept on top of my outline, hoping it would come through osmosis. Mm-mm. Nope, don't work like that.
And so, like, people in your first year of law school, for you guys don't know, everybody's taking practically the same classes. So we got Civ Pro, we got Con Law, we got Contracts, we got Torts. What's the next? And we got, is that it?
Crim law.
And Crim Law. And I think, sis, the big first mistake people make is they allow their feelings to get in the way of how they prepare. I didn't like Civ Pro, so I didn't study Civ Pro like I should. I love torts, so I studied torts. But man, your feelings will have you dismissed from law school. Am I right, sis?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And as a lawyer, we move off facts, not feelings anyway.
Hold on, say that
Just
one more time. Say that one more time.
as a lawyer, we move off facts, not feelings.
So that means, you guys, is that wherever you are in this process, we have to remove our emotions from the situations.
Mhm.
Emotions are temporary. We do not want them to get in the way of our goals, you guys. Understand that this is a journey that you chose. It's going to be hard. You've already heard it was going to be hard. But you know what? You're built for this. You're capable. Now it's about you having to accept, you know what, man? All that Joan that I did in college, it may have got me magna summa cum laude, may have got me phi beta kappa, but now I'm going to have to hit the reset button and begin to learn some new things so I could be able to elevate and take the next step. Did I miss anything in that, sis?
No, I think you're absolutely right. I think that's definitely 100% accurate. I think another thing that people kind of don't realize when they're going into law school, it's important to know how you learn. That is one of the very first things I have my students do is take a quiz to tell me what their learning style is. Because if you don't know how you learn, you won't know how to study. You'll be trying to do it just like everybody else. And what works for one person may not work for you. And so it's important to know how you learn, how you retain information, how you understand information. And so I think that is something that people oftentimes overlook because we just don't know. Nobody tells us.
And it's okay to not know. But it's not okay to be able to have amazing resources like Kim Porter from the Porter Solutions, who wants to help you guys win, who wants to see you guys be successful. I think oftentimes, and it's okay to be able to say in this situation, you know what? I know that I don't know, and that's okay. And so, sis, I also want to go ahead and ask you some questions because you did your ADA thing, had to call security to pull up a couple times. But
Yeah.
nevertheless, I also want to talk to you. How is it now as a civil law attorney? Because that's a different life, and I want people to be able to understand more what that's about.
It's like night and day. It is definitely a totally different vibe, totally different experience. Um, I enjoy it. I will say it's different because the facts of your case may not be as salacious or interesting, but that doesn't make it any less important because you are still going to be affecting someone's life. This is the most important thing in someone's life, even if it's not yours. And so it definitely is one of those things that you have to remember that and hold that close so that you can do your job accurately and complete everything that you need to complete very well. Um, I would say day in the life, it could be anything. You could have a court appearance, you could have depositions, you could have mediation, you could have an office day where you are researching and writing. It could be literally anything. So, for example, today was an office day for me. I was researching and writing. Yesterday, I was on the road for a couple of hours to Madison, Alabama, so that I could go and meet with a client. Drove 2 hours back, got in the office, got back to the grind. Tomorrow I have a mediation. I'll be in mediation all day. And so from one day to the next, it's definitely something different. And you never know really what you are going to encounter um, going from one day to the next.
Every day is a surprise. Every
Yeah.
day. I also want to ask you about your career as a professor. I think oftentimes, let's be honest, it's like when we first went to law school, we kind of put professors on a pedestal, and we were initially kind of intimidated by them, kind of afraid of them. I
Yeah.
mean, had office hours, we would not go to. Can I come in, please? How has it been being on the other side of that? And what have you done to try to help make students realize, hey, man, I'm just like you. Literally, I was just
Yeah.
like you years ago.
I think that has been something that's been very important to me, is to be very down to earth, very approachable, make sure my students know that they can come to me and ask me questions about whatever. They can raise their hand in class and I'm not going to embarrass them. And the way that I do that is I don't change the way that I speak just because I'm teaching. So the way that I speak here, like sometimes I'll speak this way and sometimes I'll speak like I'm from Mobile. Same thing. Same thing. And, sometimes it'll catch my students off guard, but I do it so that they realize, oh, she's a regular person. She's not some robot that has all of this evidence law in her head and is spewing it out for us. She's a regular person. And so that's kind of how I do that. And um, I do cold call, but not in a degrading or embarrassing way. I don't ream students out for not being prepared. I simply ask them to let me know if they're not prepared so that they don't waste my time or their classmates' time. But I don't like go off and tell them they should go and work at McDonald's or something, like, which I've heard. I've definitely heard before in class. And so I don't think it is beneficial to behave that way. And so I don't behave that way.
And that's one of the reasons also why I wanted you to have a guest, because I think oftentimes for so many of us, the first time we saw a professor who taught in law school was when we were in law school.
Mm-hmm.
And for those who are in law school, some it wasn't until we had to ask for help because something went left. Yeah, she said or asked them to leave. I remember my professor
Yeah.
to leave, and I
No.
bend my head down and walk out, and I came back the next day.
Yeah. I don't, you're paying to be here. And I'm not going to make you leave because you're not prepared because life hit you hard yesterday. Like, just let me know. Let me know what's up. We're on the same page and we can keep it pushing. Now, if you are never prepared and you always letting me know, at some point that does affect your absences. I might take one away, but I'm not going to actually make you leave because you need this information. You have to take the final exam just like the next person does.
And I think honestly, we kind of all live by the same credo. It's like, listen, I'm gonna keep it professional, but if you want these hands, as you said back in the day, I want hands allegedly.
Look, allegedly. If that's where you want to go, if this is how you want to do this, we could take it there. Allegedly.
But I think the thing that's so beautiful about your lawyer journey is it's an ongoing growth process where your resilience and your stamina and your belief in yourself continues to evolve and grow. I know right now we may have people who are either listening to us live or listening to us at another time. They may be at different points. I know at times there's definitely challenging. We had some students who are reapplying for the third time. Students who, of course, you know how it happens around this time of year. People who may not have passed the bar, or people who have. We got those students happen now who've been dismissed from law school. And it can it can get to a very dark and lonely place. But I want to give you the floor. I know it's Wednesday and we ain't at church, but we about to take them to church, sis. I want to give you the floor to give them a word of encouragement because I think we've all been there where it's just like we get lost in our thoughts and we're trying to figure out what to do next.
I'll say this. It's a couple of things that come to mind, and I'm perfectly fine taking it to church because that's where I live, honey. I would
Amen.
just say, first thing I want to say is that God is able. Not only is God able, he's able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that you could ask or think, which means if you've thought about being a lawyer, you've asked him, hey, Lord, I really want this. I want this for my life. This is the desire of my heart. He can do more than that. He can do way more than that. And so it's not a matter of can he do this? That's not even a question. Not only that, but remember that he has an expected end for you. He has thoughts that he thinks toward you of an expected end, something that he already knows how your journey is going to play out. He already knows where you'll end up. He already knows how you're going to get there. You just got to walk the walk. And sometimes walking the walk gets hard. But the race is not given to the swift, nor the battle to the strong. It's to the one that endures. And so it's very, very important to endure. Don't faint. Don't fall out. Don't give up. Keep going. Those things are very, very important. Lastly, I'll say this. Keep God first as you go through this journey. As you have your wins, don't forget how you got your win. Because you will have wins.
You will.
But don't forget how you got your wins. Not on your strength alone, not on your intelligence alone. I don't care who you are, how smart you are, or whatever. If God was not there, you wouldn't have been able to get it. So I want you to remember where you come from, remember who you are, remember whose you are, and how it is you're able to go along your journey.
Woo! Preach! Amen. Amen. And I think one of the things that's also to think about is never, like you said, it's so powerful. Because maybe think about the fact of you may not be where you want to be, but man, look how far you came.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, you came a long way to get to where you are right now, and you didn't get this far by mistake. I think that's beautiful, sis. I don't even know what else to say. You got people in the chat saying, listen, preach, the whole works. But Kym, I also, again, want to give you the floor. Tell people where they can find Kym Porter Solutions, because you know I'm always throwing you in our stories and sending nothing but love your way as you continue to feed into so many aspiring lawyers as they take the next step in their journey.
So before I tell y'all where y'all can find me, I do want to know if there are any 1Ls or law students that are just starting their semester or going into their semester. If so, speak up in the chat. While I wait for that, rather, I will tell you how to find me at the Porter Solution. That is my Instagram. You can DM me. DMs are always open. My email address is theportersolutions.com@gmail.com. You can email me. I am happy to help. I will just, as a quick little plug in, let you know kind of what my offer looks like this semester, because it looks different than it did the last time we all spoke. It is a monthly commitment, not a semester long commitment, a monthly commitment. And the reason being is because sometimes you need help to get on track. Sometimes you need help to make sure you're on the right track. And sometimes you need help to bring it on home for finals. And that may not be all the time throughout the whole semester. So it is a monthly commitment. And what you get for that monthly commitment is 4-hour-long sessions one-on-one with me, where we do whatever it is you need to do, whether that be looking at your outline, whether that be going through tutoring, making sure you have all of the information, whether that be going through your legal and research and writing class and going through some of those assignments, whatever you need, that is provided. And so that's how you can find me. That's how you can connect with me. And please give me a follow, give me a DM. You don't necessarily have to be immediately needing my services for us to connect.
And listen, the journey doesn't stop when you get into law school. It's just a new chapter. And we want to make sure that you guys have the resources, the tips to ensure that you're able to go ahead and continue and ascend further. in your journey to becoming a lawyer without any delays. Kym, I want to thank you for joining us with our show. You guys out there, continue to fight for your lawyer dreams. You know, we're praying for you, we're rooting for you. And I think sis told you guys to DM her. So y'all better get on it at Kym Porter Solutions. So continue to fight for your lawyer dreams. We're praying for you. Until we see you guys again, same time, Wednesday, 8 p.m. Central Standard. Thanks, Kym.
Thank you.